Hey everyone, how's it going? So in my last video about the Recluse, I mentioned that I may put together a few tips or advices for playing at lower level comp as a solo player. So here it is. First, let's get the grain of salt out of the room by saying I'm probably not the best person to be giving advice for comp. Take a look at my stats here. I said in my Luna's Howl video that I was an average player, and many people in the comments disagreed based on the stats that I showed, that I was slightly above. In my opinion, at least especially in comp, I feel I underperform and more likely to have a hit or miss game, so the average level kind of really shows for me. So as I said earlier, this is for the lower level comp, meaning just enough to kind of hopefully get you to that 2100 glory points that you need for the weapons on offer, like the Luna's Howl, Mountaintop Recluse, whatever. If you're going for Not Forgotten, then this video may not help, and maybe look somewhere else for some higher level advice. Seeing as my only qualification is that I play comp mostly solo, about 75% of the time. Sometimes I have one other, two, maybe two other people with me, and I have 3 of the weapons that are offered. Rather than tips or advice, this will kind of be more of like a list of things that I go through that are important for myself when I'm playing, and maybe they'll help you too. If you think of something I said was wrong, or maybe you have a different view, then let me know in the comments, and maybe someone reading it can be helped by your advice down there. Okay, first, I think let's start off with, the Guardian that you're playing. I think it's important to play a class that you're most comfortable with. For example, Spectral Blades are arguably severely overpowered. However, as easy as it appears to be, for whatever reason, I am not good at using it. I basically 99% of the time I'm using Gunslinger Top Tree, so I'm more comfortable overall with the neutral game of the Gunslinger. For comp, however, though, I do switch it up to Blade Barrage solely for the purpose of using Blade Barrage to shut down Spectral Blade, because usually there's at least 2 on the enemy team, and it's nice to have at least some hope of just shutting that down so they don't just kill everyone. Next, we'll move on to the Loadout. I like to use a loadout that is consistent and comfortable. I've really been enjoying using the Last Word in the Aachen LR2 sniper rifle in quick play lately. However, no matter how much time, no matter how many games I use with that loadout, I'm just more consistent using Luna's Howl over the Last Word in terms of hand cannon shot. And shotguns, well, they're just easier to use in comp, I think, especially since most other people are using shotguns as well. By all means, if you are very comfortable with sniping and you're confident in your skills, go for it. I know a few people who do it, and it can be very helpful if you have a very good sniper on your team. On that note, I would say check out the video that ZK Mushroom made recently about how to shotgun. He has a lot of great tips in there. I think he can really help you play smart with a shotty, which is huge because a lot of people, they use them because they're easy, but they don't actually use them very well, I think. I'll put a link to that video in the description. Check that out. Moving on to the games themselves, I'll kind of just echo the idea that I did in my Luna's Howl video, where it's just try to play smart. You may not always have the best games in terms of, playing well, like getting kills and like your shot may be off or whatever, but you can at least try to play the game itself smart. Just kind of as a small example, in the video that you're seeing, you'll notice that my team immediately took advantage of the zones, and we got the inside zones right away, which was huge on Burnout. This kind of forces the enemy, to spawn outside where they only have one zone, and they have to fight literally an uphill battle to get inside. So it's much easier for my team to have 2 points, and we can just kind of pick them off as they try to get in. And we just keep going back and forth, making sure that no one's getting close to the zones, and basically we had the game on lock very early on. A lot of the gameplay, they play similar on certain maps, so once you start to recognize the patterns of which areas are good to control on which map for any given game type, it makes playing out the game a little bit easier, and you may help win, or at least you won't be a huge detriment to your team, even if, say, like I said earlier, if your shot's off or something, at least you can kind of help control the flow of the game a little bit better if you know what's going on. Here's a quick example of the same thing, but in reverse. My team got caught. The B zone on Legion's Gulch is notorious for being the spot you don't want to be in control. Right off the bat, my team failed to get control of A and C. I don't know exactly what happened. I think I don't know if we all rushed to the other side or if someone just wasn't paying attention. Either way, they got control of A and C right away. We started to spawn at B. That makes it very hard to get back into the fight because you have to shoot over with the man cannons. That leaves you vulnerable to someone just sitting on the landing just waiting for you. Or you have to try to fight your way over the bridge, which kind of sucks. So within maybe a minute or two, some chump on my team decided to leave. And for the remaining 3 of us, the game was essentially over. So controlling the flow of the game can happen very fast, and it can make it very hard to fight back to then win. So I know a lot of this isn't groundbreaking, and you've probably heard a lot of these things before. In terms of playing better at the game, I would just say, watch some people who are good, go to some other YouTube videos that are full-on games that you can see how they're controlling. Go into a Twitch stream. Watch some good players who are playing comp, preferably, a class that you play. And you can see how they navigate the maps. You can see kind of what they're doing, maybe what their call-outs are if you are, talking to your teammates. And maybe politely in their chat ask them why they're doing something if you don't understand what's happening. That can really help. I also find that doing some warm-up games in quick play with the loadout I'm about to use really helps. This seems very obvious, but I think, just like it is just a warm-up. You want to see if your shot's feeling crispy that day, and maybe you want to switch things up. Couldn't hurt. The last major general point that I'm going to make is to just kind of keep it cool, keep the mental game cool. Don't let the losses, like bad connections, rude teammates, or whatever, get into your head. That's just going to kind of snowball and lead into just a bad time overall. When I was going for the Recluse, I got within 1 win of getting that gun probably 5 or 6 times, and only to then lose multiple times usually before I finally got it. I had some games where I barely managed to get just a few kills. The key is to just not get frustrated and just move on. If you have a really bad game, just forget it. It's over. It's a new game. If you have that old game kind of holding you back, then you're already fighting a battle against yourself when you should only be fighting the enemy team. It seems obvious, but it happens to me a lot. It happens to my friends, and it probably happens to most people. So just try to keep that in mind. I know that's probably the hardest part that I've gone over. So anyway, the final point I would say is find other people to play with. That kind of defeats the whole purpose of the video, is playing as a solo player, but it really helps if you just have even just one other person. Even if it's just someone to vent off to, if you have a bad game or something, it can really help. Try to make friends. I'm in a couple of Discords of streamers that I watch, and they have LFG things in their Discord, so maybe check those out. Maybe just send random friend requests after a game. Couldn't hurt if you played well with someone. Just try to get some cool comp friends going together, and who knows, you may be best friends after that. We'll see what happens. Anyway, now is a great time to be going into comp if you didn't get any of these weapons. I'm not sure exactly what the math is or how the numbers play out exactly, but you get a lot more glory points for wins now. I think you lose more for losses, but the way it works out, if you win, especially on streaks, you get a lot of glory points really fast. So it's probably the best time to kind of go for those guns if you didn't get them. So hopefully this helps someone out there. As I said before, if you have other tips or something, these are kind of just very basic things. Feel free to put them in the comments. Maybe someone else will check them out. Maybe you'll help someone out and make their day. That'd be cool. So thank you everyone for watching, and good luck to you on your comp journey.
になるしかないんだ。そうだろう、スパイ。